Welcome everyone to Not That Media. My name is John, and in this series of videos I will be giving 31 film recommendations across 31 days. I'll be giving brief, spoiler-free synopsis and highlighting a particular scene that has made this one of my personal favourite films to watch in October. There will be something funny, something spooky. It won't always be Halloween, but there will be certainly some scary stuff in there. So come along with me as I count down my 31 days of Halloween. In 2006's Final Destination 3, 6 years after a group of high school students first cheated death, another teen has a premonition that she and her friends will be involved in a horrifying roller coaster accident. When she persuades everyone to get off the ride and the vision proves true, the student and her fellow survivors must now deal with the repercussions of cheating the Grim Reaper. One of the great things about the concept of Final Destination is its simplicity. There is a premonition, a person gets a group of their friends off a situation that then turns out to be true and they escape death, but the difference is death's design requires that the Grim Reaper comes back to take them. Now, this Grim Reaper is not in a cowl with a sickle. It is this fantastic idea of a series of unfortunate events. And one of the things certainly the first two films did was depict very real deaths that you actually could dismiss as accidents or acts of God or bad play, wrong place at the wrong time kind of setups. It is a simple slasher film when you look at it, a group of people hacked up by a killer. The difference is this killer is death itself, and the kills themselves are very over the top and elaborate, but could happen to anybody. If you're a 90s kid like me and you know the memes or you've seen the memes, you will know that two lessons that a lot of people take away from the first two Final Destinations is if you're going to do anything in the shower involving the shower the rack, the piece of wire which you hang clothes on in hotel rooms, always put a towel on the floor first. And if you are driving down the motorway at speed and you become behind a truck that is carrying an enormous quantity of logs, pallets, or various other equipment that looks like it could easily come off onto the motorway, you get past that truck as quick as you can. It's one of those funny things that that's when you know you're around a Final Destination fan, where if you're in a group with a car people and you're behind that vehicle, you hear can we get past that? Yeah, I saw that scene in Final Destination 2 as well. It hit the cultural zeitgeist so quickly in the early noughties, and it still lingers to this day in people's minds, and that's when you know you've got an effective franchise. So the scene that me and my wife sat down and talked about, I actually am going to give her credit for this, because when I sat down and talked about the scenes that I found frightening, she instantly jumped out with the tanning room kill. Such a fantastic kill that to this day, my wife, not that she is inclined, she has zero interest in tanning booths or going to tanning salons because of this scene. Now, if you're a fan of tanning or you enjoy your girlfriend tanning, etc., maybe you don't want to watch this scene or show this scene to them, just in case, particularly if they're squeamish. But in a nutshell, it sums up everything you need to know about the Final Destination franchise. The cause and effect, the warnings, ignoring the warnings, ignoring the little steps you can take to stay off death's list for a few more minutes. So, having had a couple of situations earlier in the film, escaping obviously death the first way round, two of the survivors go to a tanning salon. There is a blonde and a brunette, and that is how I'm going to refer to them for the purposes of this. To be perfectly honest with the Final Destination films, I don't remember anybody's name in them whatsoever, so it's not me trying to be funny or over the top, I simply don't remember their names. But these two girls go into the tanning booth, and they're regulars clearly, and the guy behind the counter turns to the blonde and instantly says, "Don't take that drink in there, I've told you before." And she's kind of like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll drink it. He then decides to go out for a cigarette. As he does, he gets some suntan lotion and he wedges it in the door underneath, allowing the door to stay open. Whilst this happens, the two girls decide that they want a little bit of private time, so they put a sign on the front door saying "back in 30 minutes" and lock the front door. The first mistake has occurred. The two girls then go into the tanning room and the blonde girl takes her drink with her. Mistake number 2. We then see that the suntan lotion lid has popped off, and the suntan lotion that is holding this door is slowly squeezing out, and as a result, as it squeezes down, the door starts to close. Upon entering the room, the girls then start to cause a series of events that will be their ultimate undoing. The blonde girl puts her drink down on a piece of shelving and doesn't think anything about it. The brunette remarks that the room is too cold and turns the heating up. As a result of this, they notice that the clothes stand that they put, the clothes hook that they put it on, is slightly loose. And at this point, one of the girls then points out the fact that, oh, I forgot my iPod. So the blonde says, no problem, and goes over to the shelf and leans on the shelf to find a CD, loosening the shelf bracket. So this is all a series of incidences. Having fiddled with the air conditioning to make the room warmer, condensation from the drink starts to build up and seeps down the cup. It then goes down the back of the shelf and drips onto a power box. The power box says very clearly, do not increase the voltage of the tanning booths to up beyond 250. The two girls disrobe, a little bit of TNA for you if obviously you are fans of that sort of thing in horror films, and they proceed to get into the tanning booths, earphones in, eye plugs on, roller coaster playing in the air, and they're having a real good time. Meanwhile, outside, the tanning bed owner's door has now shut and locked behind it. He's blissfully unaware of this because he's smoking. Inside the room, the water has dripped onto the equipment, short-circuiting the equipment, making the tanning booths increase in temperature to beyond 250. So already beyond the dangerous situation. By fiddling with the air conditioning fan blows the hat stand or the coat stand and knocks it down, smashes the shelf. The shelving unit falls down on top of one of the tanning booths. At the same time, the girls start to notice that it's getting way too hot in here and decide they want to get out. As of course they go to get out, the piece of wood perfectly falls onto their bed, wedged between the two tanning booths, and they are effectively jammed in the tanning booths. They cannot get out and the temperature is rising. Whilst this happens, their skin starts to burn, it starts to turn pink and red, and they are in a lot of pain. They start to scream. The working owner outside hears the screams and naturally tries to open the door. It is locked. He runs round to the front door. It is also locked with a nice big sign saying, back in 30 minutes. These two girls then quite literally boil and burn to death. The glass is getting so hot that they can't touch it. Their skin is coming off on the tanning booths. The tanning glass actually shatters, and the glass falls onto the girls, and the glass that they are laying on top of shatters, and they fall into the equipment. And there is a horrific shot of these two girls' tanning booths at the top, completely engulfed in flames. These two girls burned to death in complete agony. I chose this scene because, for me, it is so effective. When my wife described it to me and we watched it again, it is so disturbing. That series of unfortunate events, that horror cliche, when people say, don't go into the woods, you know they're going to go into the woods and die. So when the shop owner says to the girl, don't take your drink in there, these two girls, and it's a rarity in the Final Destination franchise, because sometimes these kills come out of arguably no one deserves to die. They just happen to get off a situation that would have resulted in their original death, and death is now coming to clean up the mess is the concept. But these two girls arguably actually, they don't deserve to die, but they set up their death because they don't listen. He tells them, don't take the drinks. There is a sign saying, don't change the air conditioning. There is a sign saying, don't put the voltage up. And they ignore all of these things, which ultimately leads to their death. Final Destination 3, like I say, skirts the line between the genuinely scary and the slightly over the top and absurd. And I think that's why I wanted it on my Halloween list, simply because I think you don't want to be watching necessarily every film to be too serious, but you do want to watch something that is a little over the top and scary at the same time. Final Destination 3 is perfect. It has that kind of, because it opens at a fun fair, it has that kind of horror nights kind of vibe, so it instantly reminds me of Halloween, even though it's not set at Halloween. It's a really good time. It's a good film. It's not a classic, but again, on the road to Halloween, they don't always have to be classics. They just have to be a good time, and I think this film sums it up. It's a great time. So, until next time, stay scared.